I'm sorry to interrupt you, Andrea. Hi, everyone. Sorry, but you are muted. We are live, so it happens. No worries at all.
Oh,
Hi, everyone. I guess
hi
you will have
everyone.
to start back again. Okay?
All right, apologies for this. I was already
No worries.
to the newscast. Well, welcome
No
again,
worries.
everyone, to this new episode of the EPALE Newscast. My name is Andrea, and I'm here from the Lifelong Learning platform for EPALE. If you are familiar with this format, you might have seen my face already. If not, I'm happy to guide you through this October edition of the newscast, the live broadcast that brings you the latest news in education and training for adults in the EPALE community and beyond. So as usual, this format is streaming every Monday, every first Monday of the month at 12 in Central European time, so make sure to book your calendars and agendas for the upcoming ones. As you've seen from the main banner, the topic of today will be the EPALE Community Conference that is taking place already next week. At the same time, I don't want to spoil anything about it, so perhaps I will start with some policy news. The European Commission held one of its main events for the European Year of Skills on the 20th of September, and its name is quite evocative. It was Skills, Skills, Skills. A lot of EU agencies such as CEDEFOP, Eurofund, EU OSHA, ETF, ELA, in partnership with the European Parliament and the European Commission, came together on September 20th to share their insights on current and future skills needs. They discussed skills for people, for employment, and for the planet. These are the focuses of the European Year of Skills, and this event contributed to benchmark some of those. When it comes to adult learning, perhaps it's worth reminding our audience that the UNESCO International Conference on Adult Education will hold its regional follow-up for Europe next Monday, on October 9th. This conference agrees on strategies and priority actions for developing AL concepts, policies, practices in all the regions of the world. It reviews adult learning and education from a global perspective and agrees on principles for the future development of adult learning in the member states. In 2022, this conference adopted the Marrakesh Framework for Action, an enabling and programmatic document to foster adult learning and education in the whole world. We'll make sure to keep you posted in the next newscast about the outcomes of the conference next week. We're also excited to invite you and all other European stakeholders in education and training to take part in the European Lifelong Learning Stakeholders Forum on November 27th, which is co-organized by the Lifelong Learning Platform and the European Commission's in its Directorate General for Education. It's particularly important because it will serve as a consultation in view of the midterm review of the European education area. The event will also kick off the Lifelong Learning Week 2023 on the topic of key competences for all, lifelong learning approach to skills, which kind of mirrors the European Year of Skills, if you want, from a civil society perspective. Last but definitely not least in policy news, the European Commission opened up a formal consultation process on the Erasmus Plus program. It will be open until the 8th of December, and it's very important that all of you participate in this exercise because it will help improve the program. Besides, the Erasmus Plus is perhaps the most famous of the European programs and one of its best achievements so far. So make sure to help us improve it. I think that this brings us to the main topic of this newscast, which is the EPALE Community Conference that is taking place next week from the 10th to the 12th of October. The community conference is particularly important because it highlights some of the main features of EPALE. Speaking of EPALE, have you hopped on the website lately? The platform has plenty of news for you. EPALE held an online discussion on financial literacy on the 27th of September, which shed light on the current financial landscape and challenges individuals and communities encountered during periods of economic turmoil, such as the ones that we're living in right now in the end, with inflation and uncertain times. Most importantly, it also assessed the role of the European Union in addressing financial challenges and fostering financial literacy in the adult population. I don't know about you, but as an adult learner, financial literacy is indeed something that I could learn something more about. Our EPALE expert, Gina Eppner, and former president of the Lifelong Learning Platform, published a blog post about aging, adult education, and the brain. This is a very intimate article, and it's interesting because it brings real-life examples of evolving science behind the memory, neuroplasticity, and how lifelong learning can impact all of this in an active aging. For me, this is absolutely worthy of your time and attention. Media literacy is one of the topics which we hear the most about lately, and I think you're hearing a lot about it on EPALE as well. Nonetheless, interventions in Europe come in all shapes and sizes, and it's perhaps quite complicated to make sense of all of them. This blog post that we have on EPALE discusses the variety of practices in the local communities, member states, and all other stakeholders that have put in place to address this generational phenomenon. If you need inspiration about media literacy, you don't want to miss this one. We're finally ready to go into the EPALE Community Conference. So what is it about? Its name, it's Bloom, Skills for the Future, and will revolve around the 3 themes of EPALE for 2023. We're in October right now, so I guess you're familiar with them, but it's worth reminding you of those 3 thematic focuses. The first one is empower, so making sure that the workforce has the right skills. The second one is engage, skills for a democratic life, and how skills and learning in general can contribute to societal development. And then inclusive skills opportunities for all, because we do not want to leave anyone behind. The conference will be organized over 3 days, but more specifically over 3 mornings. Each morning will start with a plenary session, which includes inspiring keynotes, panels, EPALE talks, and all of the blossoming content that you've seen on EPALE brought to you live. It's freely accessible online via EPALE, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Maybe I'm forgetting something, but make sure that you're there. Especially, you want to make sure that you're there for the interactive workshops. These have limited seats available and will follow each of the plenaries. So to participate, please make sure to register as soon as possible. You do not want to miss this one. And our guest today will help us learn a little more about the workshop that will be held on October 10th, so on the first day of the EPALE Community Conference at 11:45. This workshop is titled Boosting Green and Digital Skills for Adults. And for the organization of this workshop, EPALE joined forces with the European Training Foundation, one of the EU agencies. Here with us today, I have Cristina Marauta, Senior Human Capital Development Expert at ETF. So welcome, Cristina.
Good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation and the opportunity to co-organize this event.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So let me ask you straight away, what should we expect from the workshop and why is it worth participating?
I would link it to what you just said, empower, engage, inclusiveness as well. So from this workshop, we will, of course, touch on these issues of digitalization, digital transition, but also, greening and the impact on occupations and jobs. We will look at the fast changes and how this affects the demand for skills, but also upskilling opportunities. And most importantly, I think we will look at the skills-friendly management of this digital and green transition, as the past experiences show that successful transitions to new technologies or new ways of organizing the economy and so on cannot happen without an important investment in skills.
This is certainly something that I can subscribe to. investment is one of the key issues that we're bringing forward for the whole year and beyond the conference. Can you tell us something about the speakers and the practices that they will share during the workshop?
Yeah, as you mentioned, European Training Foundation is one of the EU agencies, but we enjoy, let's say, a special status. We are working with the EU neighboring countries, so countries from outside European Union. Of course, in our work, we always refer to the European Union orientation, strategic priorities, but also the practices of the European Union member states. So from this perspective, you'll have the opportunity to know and to find out more about the realities and the trends in the EU neighboring region. I would say that they are perfectly in line with what is happening in the European Union as well. If we look at the digital and green transition impact and what we expect in terms of skills demand and so on. But you'll have also an opportunity to look at the practices and projects, initiatives that are implemented in very fragile, difficult conditions. Unfortunately, nowadays we talk about, and we should talk maybe more about the fragility, vulnerability, as we face also in the European Union, but not only, a lot of, negative trends in terms, additional pressure on policies and so on. And that's clear that education and training are, let's say, the prime response in terms of policies, how to address all these challenges. Yeah. So we will have, of course, as speakers, I would start with my colleague, Fabiona Shimbeni, who is, I understood, also a long-term, let's say, contributor to your network. He is our leading digital learning expert, has over 25 years experience in this, in the field of innovation, learning innovation and digital education. And yeah, definitely this is an important piece of work for ETF, how to help countries innovate and embrace the digitalization of education, but in an inclusive manner. Then I would go to one of the partner countries, ETF partner country, and we will have a contributor from Serbia, Mr. Marko Bankovic, who is the Assistant Director of Tempus Foundation, one of the institutions that it's helping Serbia government and stakeholders to benefit from different opportunities from the European Union, including Erasmus. He is a key player in the coordinating the National Center for Euro Guidance Network. So he is a key player in the area of career guidance and counseling. And as you know, access to education cannot happen without proper information and guidance and so on. So this is an ingredient, a crucial ingredient in helping adults get, and not only adults, of course, get access to the right education opportunities. And the third speaker comes from Palestine, Ola Issa. She is the country director of DBB International. This is the Adult Learning Institute of, for the Institute for International Cooperation of the German Adult Education Association. They are working in Palestine on three main areas that we believe that are very, very relevant for the members of your network. It's about innovative offerings. When we talk about adult learning, you need to have also innovative, attractive offerings and opportunities. Then we talk, they work on developing the capacity and also staff training, retraining, so qualified professionals for adult education. And finally, also the infrastructure, having, powerful adult education centers. Finally, let me say a couple of words also about the moderators of this session. We talk about Zoltan Varkony, who is the Secretary General of the European Basic Skills Network and one of the initiators of the Hungarian Association for Lifelong Learning, and Georgi Csendes, who is the Senior Advisor at the ESBN Secretariat, and a contributor to various initiatives that would focus on upskilling and boosting lifelong learning in Hungary. So I think if we talk also about basic skills network, lifelong learning, and so on, they are the right moderators of this session. Thank you.
They sound like perfect moderators indeed. And let me say that I attended some of the ETF events in the past, and it's always so useful to learn what's going on beyond the EU, and perhaps, take a little bit from here and there and then improve our own systems. I have one last question for you. This workshop, it seems to me that it fits very well with the EPALE focus on empower. So making sure that the workforce has the right skills. And it's also part of a longer and more elaborate path that the ETF is undertaking on those topics. Can you tell us some more about it?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned already an important pillar of the adult education and training, boosting participation in adult training, lifelong learning. We believe that the first and foremost, important pillar is career guidance and counseling. And together with Euro Guidance, for example, and other players, EU and non-EU players, we are looking at this reforming the career guidance and counseling systems. And making them, fit for a digital age as well, and also inclusive. So that's an important element of our work, and I think it links very well to your priority of empower. Maybe the other point I would like to make here is about intelligence, skills intelligence, how much we know about the transition, green transition and digital transition, in terms, concrete numbers as far as possible, because well-informed policies and program choices should be based on, good, reliable information about the skills trends, skills for the future, and so on. So another area is generating new skills intelligence, and maybe allow me to promote here a very recent research. It's about the European Skills and Job Survey, which was implemented in 6 ETF partner countries using the same type of methodology as in the one in the European Union. So now we have comparative data, and to tell you, maybe to shed light a bit on a very interesting development is that although maybe the digitalization changes the jobs and occupation in our partner countries at, let's say, a delayed pace compared to the EU, still around 50% of the workers are afraid that they would lose jobs in the near future. And what they point out is also an important need for upskilling and reskilling. So we talk about big changes also in our ETF partner countries, and we talk about an overall situation where workers are in need of upskilling and reskilling opportunities, but the offer is not yet there, be it career guidance services, be it education, retraining opportunities, and also support for the most vulnerable when it comes to motivation and building up their capacity to take up learning opportunities.
Thank you very much, Christine. I think this fits very well with not only the thematic focuses of the year, but also, with everyone's priority that in this European Year of Skills, in this upskilling and reskilling revolution, no one should be left behind. Thank you very much, Christine. I think this is a perfect note to end our newscast. I would like to remind everyone to please sign up for this and other workshops because the places are limited. And as you can see, we're advertising quite well about them. Thank you very much, Christine, and thank you to all of you for tuning in. Let me remind you one last thing, that this newscast airs live every first Monday of every month. So I will see you again on the 6th of November at 12 p.m. Central European Time. Thank you very much for staying with us, and I wish you a pleasant week ahead.